Hello, fellow armchair generals. As you may notice, we're jumped back a little bit, and of course this is Gamer1745 here playing Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 9.11, and of course we're playing as Japan. Like I just said, we've jumped back in time a little bit. And currently, this is not the way I like to do this, just because it's sort of zero margin, and I release normally at about 11 o'clock my time, and it's almost 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. my time. So normally I want to have a cushion of a few days, just a little peek behind the curtains here, a few days of episodes so that, just life happens and, I don't have the time to make something that's still scheduled and released. But currently, last 3-4 days or something, I've been making and then a few hours later releasing the videos. So it was really helpful with so many of you making comments on the last video as to what to do. And if you wanted to go down the historical, though, Seas to the Coast really isn't technically historical, paths here, and let me say a word about that. Historical, and should this be Japan, status Japan, no course? No, it shouldn't. It should be like it is here, in that it's occupied territory. Because we can see a real puppet state that was created was Slovakia. They ran themselves. They did not have Germans sitting in any of the ministries telling them what to do. It was entirely a Slovak show. There was a small, very small as a percentage of the population, German minority that had organized up it was the KDP, originally the Carpathian Deutsches Party. They changed it just into the DP because they're no longer separating it out, distinguishing it from the SDP, the Sudetendeutsches Party. But there was that, and up until they sort of switched sides and tried to get out from under the Germans, they're an independent show. I really mean that. They do an economic agreement with Germany. I'm sure that there is a certain amount of pressure. Basically, Romania was more or less a Romanian show almost entirely, except basically Romania had to turn over most all of its oil to Germany. They were getting paid, to the best of my understanding, in Reichsmarks, whatever they would have been worth. Worth quite a lot, I would presume, after the German victory. But, meaning they weren't being paid in gold or silver or real English pounds or something like that. They were being paid in Reichsmarks that, had Germany won, would have been a worthy currency to have. So this is a puppet. They were pressured to some degree, I don't know how much, to send forces to, say, operate in against the Soviet Union. South Vietnam was a U.S. puppet, but again, it ran its own show. There were coups that, against one faction or another, that the U.S. government, and you can watch some of the series. I've seen part of Ken Burns' Vietnam, but there was an earlier Vietnam series that, on the history of Vietnam, South Vietnam and the war and all that. There were coups that the U.S. government didn't approve of against, different leaders, and dictators is a word thrown around a little too much, but there were, like I was saying, there were coups going on. There was lots of government practices that the Americans are different than Nazis. The American government didn't agree with, but largely the South Vietnamese government becomes a puppet of the United States. Now, we can see something up here in Manchukuo, which has Emperor Puyi is the official head of state. He has a prime minister. I forget his name. That right around, I think, 1936 or so, I have an event for this in Third Reich events that probably none have you ever seen, because it's only seen by the maybe the Japanese player sees it, but maybe it's only even seen by the Manchukuo player, which I almost defy anyone to really say, unless they go now and make an event and do a screen, make a playthrough and do a screen cap. There's a series that I started to work on of Manchukuo and related events. Some of them that sort of triggered it were boy, my voice is rough right now. May need to go get a drink. But Manchukuo and buying some German aircraft transports that were also used as bombers. So that sort of got me sort of looking down the path of that, and those you do see in Hearts, or in, if you're playing as Germany, when they're interacting with Germany, you do see those events from that side. He sort of famously, and they're very valuable now, is he, and I show an example of it, painted fans, the things you wave in front of your face. In very, very high artistic style. Well, he quits, and I think it's around 36 or 38 or somewhere in that time period, well before the Pacific War starts. Quits being prime minister of Manchukuo because of Japanese interference. Not that he's pushed out by the Japanese. He truly, this is, okay, I'm getting this from Wikipedia, so I may have, the history may be 100% wrong. Because saying this, I'm basing it off of Wikipedia and other things. And of course, this guy may have never existed and they just put in another photo. So yes, you can be spoofed like this, but I don't think so. And I have seen other sources on some of this stuff that's outside of Wikipedia, but since then. But my understanding is he is a sort of a Manchurian, notice I've changed from Manchukuo, Manchurian imperial supporter kind of thing. He wants to restore the Manchu emperor to being the emperor of China, basically, and not be a figurehead for a Japanese occupation of Manchukuo. And so he resigns in protest and sort of goes into internal exile, meaning he doesn't leave, he just leaves politics, and I'm sure he's watched, but the Japanese never move against him. So that tells you that he, because obviously the Japanese could easily have disappeared him or other things, but they don't, and so he just goes into internal exile and quits. And another guy who's willing to work with the Japanese and do what they want is put in power. So in the Hearts of Iron 3 way of doing this, Manchukuo and probably Meijing and the reorganized nationalist China should not be puppets. They just shouldn't be puppets, because they should just be occupied territory that has collaborationist units, because the Japanese were micromanaging these things. Again, there were no micromanagement of the Slovak forces. I'm defining them out differently than you would define out the Hungarian, Romanian, or Bulgarian forces. This is sort of a German-created country. Now it's a different story if you look at Croatia. That's a direct occupation. So there are no German occupation troops here until very late. There's no security forces pushed around. There's no German soldiers swaggering around the street and overlording it over somebody. No, there is none of that. And that very small minority, Yeah, they get together with sort of a, big group of parade type, handing out medals and things like that. From the photos that I've seen, oh yeah, there's 60 of them or something, and they're local Slovaks, nationals with German backgrounds. So they're not running the show even then. Now, of course, they get sort of special privileges because their connection, this one group was connected to the SS. So yeah, so there's a big difference. Now, in Hearts of Iron 4, again, I'm loving and playing this, and I've got all of the Hearts of Iron 4 stuff, and we are doing that. It just doesn't come up to this yet. But the Hearts of Iron 4 with the, I guess it's, and I forget some of the names, integrated puppet through to Dominion, which Dominion is sort of, like Canada, in that they have their own parliament. It just sort of, they only sort of officially recognize that they are, they're sort of, basically, by the beginning of World War II, they're an independent nation that just has sort of, if you will, Commonwealth type ties to Britain. And Australia, has, through various things, including World War I, and I don't know, and I know we have some Australian viewers, all of the different things, but sort of, shall we say, British handling of Australians' troops in World War I, in which the British execute for desertion or cowardice or whatever some Australian soldiers. Now, from what little I know of some of this stuff, they probably deserve to be executed, according to British regulations and practices at the time. Whether I would have now, looking at the situation, voted to have them executed or not, I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, for the standards and practices of the British Army at the time, again, from what little I know, and I may be having all this wrong, sorry if I do, but going off of memory here, is that they that they probably deserve to be executed under British Army practices. But Australia did not have the death penalty. The Australian Army did not have the death penalty at that time. This is my understanding. Again, I could have this wrong. Sorry. This is, again, let me state this. This is Gamer's historical commentary, not solid history. If you want to look it up, you can start Googling on some of this stuff if you have more interests on this. So, and if I were to make and I was one of the, I think Jason, was asked a question about on the Napoleonic series, Napoleon Total War, about forming the square and why it was so good, and I pointed to some, he said he did some internet searches, didn't find anything. I did a quick one and found something that I posted, and I'll hear back from him hopefully soon if it answers his questions. And so I was thinking about doing a video on forming the square in the Napoleonic War and wars and whatnot, and how it did, and that would be talking off of talking points, whether from Wikipedia or other sources, and that would be a reasonably authoritative historical video, and I can prepare and do those. That is different than what we're doing, talking while playing a game. Please understand that, because I very well at times in the future I am very much thinking about making more, I know there's a bunch of YouTube historians of various types, TKI and the Chieftain, and military history visualized and whatnot, some really good stuff. And sure, there's room for more, but I don't necessarily plan on switching my channel or everything over to doing that, but that I might make an occasional video, like I was semi-inspired, and don't know if I will, about forming the square. And I'm just thinking, and I don't really have a good video editor right now, and video editing and rendering take a fair amount of time. I know I'm taking time now, but it takes a fair amount of time to do, and I just, quite honestly, and I know if I were to make some sort of wondrous super product that just maybe it would get out there and blow up real super big. But I will say this: nothing that I've done has blown up fairly big. Now maybe I just haven't made that wondrous ultimate product, but even within what I think are some really good Hearts of Iron 4 series, some of the German series, or Hearts of Iron 3 series, I misspoke, Hearts of Iron 3 series, the German series and other things that I've, not the early ones with the really bad sound, but some of the more recent ones really have not gone big. And so I just don't know if it's, maybe it's my style and whatnot, and it just isn't going to go big. I'm talking in comparison to other things. So, I don't know if I were to spend, 3 or 4 days making and editing a video, which means that I'm not making any of these other things, so I have to make a bunch of these beforehand. Making and editing a video and doing that and putting it out there, and then just watch it get, oh yeah, hey, it got 400 views. And that is so not worth doing. And so the way I would do it is simply do a screen cap, like I've done some other things, and bring, because I have 2 screens, so I just capture one of my screens, so I'd have like I don't know, not really, maybe, well, it depends on the subject, photos, or photos of paintings or whatever from the period, and just bring them onto the main screen as I want to, or bring the person, a photo of the person onto the screen and then off as I want to, unedited. I don't know if that would be a problem, lack of editing, because then I could make that and then go in and keep my audio, and then, because you've got to sort of lay down the audio track, at least for me, because I do terrible, and I've done a few of the different things that I've sort of basically written a script or something, and I really sound really bad when I listen to myself. But when I listen to myself just talk like this, I sound natural and flowing. So I have learned that I should not work, at least my current skill level, I should not work from a script. I should, and some of the stuff I've done, I've definitely written down bullet points, so I make sure I get them all and go through in order, but it's still just me talking as I'm doing it. So right now, my skill set needs to be conversational. And so I can make a conversational video and then go in and do, grab photos and images and map screenshots and whatnot, and edit those all together and make a nice video, post that, or after making the conversational part. And, if that was going to pay the bills, this doesn't pay. I mean, well, no, it's gotten a little bit more. I could probably get 3 good pizzas a month out of, depends on where you are and what the pizzas cost, of course. Don't want to go into specifics, off of what I'm making off of this channel for all of my efforts. So, we're talking pennies an hour, not dollars an hour, not even like 50 cents an hour. Because one of these videos that I'm making and spending an hour on, and that's just making the video, not making the thumbnail, not posting it, not doing anything else, is less than 50 cents or something for a video. So yeah, it's discouraging, and I guess I'm sort of being discouraged at the moment. But back to let me try to rewinding through my chain of thought before I diverged. Historical versus just commentary. So, Hearts of Iron 4 has integrated Puppet through to Dominion, which is almost an independent state, but it's still part of, I would say, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. We're very much still part of the British Empire, because the various trade arrangements within the world at the time, and ownership of property doesn't mean capitalism. I know that's often so people. Oh, capitalism back when no capitalism. That's before capitalism, and you're complaining about something else. Um, and there's often very mixed economies as time goes on, as there's still mixed economies to this day. China is not a capitalist country, even though one of the people that I respect who makes videos in China was just saying that it was. No, it is a state economy, a state. I don't even know if it's market economy, maybe, but it is not a free market capitalistic economy. It's definitely not a socialist economy, and that was his real point. But it is still a state economy. So you have that. Oh, and so Australia and New Zealand's economic capabilities at the time were very much dependent upon the British Empire maintaining, because this is before the American external empire really gets off the ball at, during World War II is when it starts, not Philippines and whatnot, not counting. World trade is based upon America right now because China has grabbed and made islands here and wants to claim this part of the South China Sea. Maybe just because somebody called it China, they feel they get to own it. And in the Chinese view of this, it's not just like, oh, well, hey, yeah, there's, maybe oil out here, and so where are we going to divide up the who gets to drill for oil? Can America come in here in the international zones and drill for oil? And sort of general international consensus is no. It sort of either belongs to Vietnam or China, and so we sort of, figure out economic things. But this area of the ocean, anybody can sail through it. U.S. carriers can come in here. Russian carriers can come into here. Merchant vessels from all over the world can come into here. It's only sort of along the international or the national actually owned waters that they can keep out international vessels. And so fishing zones, a bit more people get to come in, and that's a little bit more disputed, out into the ocean in here. So where is the fishing zone? Can American commercial fishermen fish here? Or is it only Vietnamese, Filipino, Chinese, and Malaysian fishing vessels? What can happen out here? And China's trying to grab this up for various things. They would like to make it so that within what they consider their territorial waters, only their vessels and vessels that get approved of can move through them. So pay a tax, be inspected, whatever. It's the U.S., which is inherited from the British system, wanting to keep ocean trade open and free so that vessels can go anywhere. Military vessels can go anywhere, and they're not wrecking, and they go closer than the normal coastlines here, because the U.S. is not recognizing territoriality. They may acknowledge, yeah, they got troops there, and we very much, the U.S. government says, yeah, they've got troops there, and they're there, but it's not that it's a recognized part, internationally UN recognized part of their territory, even though they have units there. So, U.S. is pushing freedom of the seas. So Australia is still very, very dependent, and New Zealand and whatnot, on the international orders of the British, situation of the British Empire. So when the British Empire goes to war, they go to war too, because if the British Empire loses, they will lose too. Doesn't mean that the Germans would be marching down the streets of Sydney, whether it's World War I or World War II, but it might mean, even if, say, it's World War I, eventually Japan might be marching around if the British Empire falls apart. Now, if you notice, have you noticed that Australia, maybe not so much New Zealand, but they don't have as much. Australia seems like to be sending troops to Iraq 1, Iraq 2, Afghanistan, and any other place America seems to be going to war. Wonder why that is. Oh, it's because they have such a super right-wing government. No, because they even did that under their sort of leftist socialist governments, to my understanding. It's because they're part of the what I call the Anglo-American sphere. It's no longer a direct empire. The U.S. doesn't get to dictate Australian laws. But when it's really important to all of us, Australia sends troops and ships and airplanes and whatnot and backs the play of the Anglo-Americans, because they know if the Anglo-Americans lose, even if it's, on small fronts around here. Because if Iran is, what does it matter if Iran, because Iran is never going to invade. Yeah, okay, but if America's retreated that much, China decides, well, there's enough Chinese people in Singapore. Singapore should be part of China, like they decided Hong Kong should be part of China, like they believe Taiwan should be part of China. And don't anyone now come and say, oh, China's never said that. Yeah, they've never said that now, but we can see from, Alexander to Napoleon to Hitler that the goals of today, once they're achieved, tomorrow's goals get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it may not be in the next 5 or 10 years, it may be in the next 50 years, and Australia doesn't want China to own here and then have a large migration wave of Chinese into Australia, and then China decides, oh, well, Australia now has 30% Chinese, yeah, it belongs to us now. And so, Australia is part of our sphere of influence. And again, they can, disagree with us in the UN and other things, but when it really matters, they're going to do that. So, I really like Hearts of Iron 4 in that they have levels of puppets. I would probably be having all of these guys as one levels or puppets or another in the Hearts of Iron 4. And I know I've taken a long time to get here. Sorry about that. I get sidetracked, you know that. And that's probably why my channel isn't doing so well. But I'm learning, trying to learn. So, what to do? I currently like the Japanese territory, not the occupied, or, well, I guess it should all be occupied, but what is currently China, with, yes, the current revolt risk. We haven't had any time to go for this to be worked down, but this is sort of the current revolt risk unmodified by police units. I'm currently liking owning that part of China. We can look here. Yeah, we would lose this, but most of the places we'll lose are just some light industry, considerably. And although there are some resources in some of these territories, there's no critical resources as in what's this, aluminum, and there's a tungsten or something around here. Probably sitting on some, or the horses. I guess we can come up to here and aluminum, tungsten. The horses we get the aluminum, or we get the tungsten. It's somewhere I think we would get once we get to coast, but we'd lose horses and we'd lose aluminum. So air build speed down, 15%, and supply throughput. So I did look into the details of, you can I think it's up to 12 puppets that you can have. It's either 9 or 12 puppets. It's every three new puppets, after 5 you get more bonuses for having more puppets. So puppets are useful, and then puppets are useful too for lack of needing to occupy it. So I know this has taken a long time to get here, but we're still going to get here. What I'm going to do here is, we're going to the Guaoji click, probably butchering that, and we're going to hit puppet and install loyal government. So we have that, and we're going to come here to the Yunnan, diplomacy, add war goal, puppet, Yunnan. Again, I'm probably even butchering that. And we're going to come here. This is basically the Ma click, Jiba San Ma. Add war goal, puppet, Install loyal government. It might even help with the surrender things. Puppeting think makes it so that we don't have to, or they're more willing to give in. Obviously these guys haven't lost any territory yet, but so we're going to continue and play from this point, trying to puppet these guys. I am then thinking, I've been warned, and I may do a test case about combinations of winter and mountain and black ice modifiers. And I know it's enough to really keep the AI from doing this, but we do have these guys, as you can see here. They have mountain troops, elite light infantry, support, mountain artillery, armored cars. Need to throw in a headquarters, of course, for them, but we've got those coming to really make that, as well as other things. I don't know whether we'll go after Tibet, and been sort of warned a bit about some of the Xiang things that the rest of the world won't like us doing. But it's as if one of the, I'm sorry, forgetting exactly who, I think this was Jeff who made a really nice, maybe it was one of the other posters, made a really nice bullet list of analysis of good and bads of some of these things. It, either him or one of them, I gather, makes the rest of the world a bit more mad at Japan, which may cut off some of our trade. I don't think anybody's going to go to war over it, but it's best to do it now before it becomes a Soviet puppet. And if we grab this, my current, again, attention, yes, it's longer border, but if it's a Soviet puppet and we have, I think we do have a, you know, we'll check and see, but I'm pretty sure we would still have a bit of a border here that with the Soviets and our puppet here. So if we were to go to war, it would be even a bigger border than currently. So yeah, oh yes, we need to get these guys moving rapidly in. Yes, push into there. Okay, guys, you get to march around there, reorganize as you march. You stop attacking. You start attacking. Yeah, secure the port. We don't need them to get a port to get trade or anything. Not that they really would be able to trade much, or the trade would really affect the thing. We would give them money for rare materials. Let's wait for a day to happen. No, we get way too many rare materials. We don't need more. They're moving there, you guys go there. Yeah, you're motorized or semi-motorized, so you rush into there. I know. I think their capital will fall back to here or something. Okay, guys, you come right along there. Oh, and we have this. Yeah, you come that way. Well, the infantry tanks should help. I suspect they don't have, and the battle commander should help, that they don't have much anti-armor capability. And I too like to go the historical path on things. I'm in no way suggesting that that is not a good option. It's just an option that is, there you got there, hey, you guys come here, that it isn't supremely historical forming all of these things. Okay, yeah, you're reasonably well organized. You're fairly organized. You guys get to walk around to here. Alright, go through this again. Nav pilot training, nice. Oh, yeah, okay, we've pushed over that. That's okay. And what was that? That was, oh, infantry radio communications, because it affects way too many units. It didn't get deployed, or didn't get shown on the screen. Oh, you just come to there for, just come up to that one for the moment. Well, we've got some air operating, so let's make sure our air is operating as effective as we can over this area. I guess it sort of is up there. And let's You guys haven't been doing anything. You get to come down here. Oh, there we go. And infantry unit command and control. And we're going to stop that. We are building up lots of officers, I know that. I want to do that for a little bit longer. We are at 110%. No, okay, battle, well. Good, okay. Yeah, this, we decided to go with money. I like that decision. Production. Get the upgrades. The infantry radios probably are what accounting for all those upgrade needs. They're gonna get there on the 2nd today, so you get to then turn into there. Yeah, that turns that around nicely. And direct fire unit training. Good, and we'll stop that. And yes, we want the historical division headquarters for 1939. No, we've got enough raw materials. Or rare materials, sorry, I keep saying raw. This is just a pinning attack on all those garrison units, which may not be smart. I wish we had a more pinning attack type option, as opposed to breakthrough attack or, you know, hard attack. Fighter ground control. Well, you need to get in on that fight. Yeah, getting in on that fight did turn the tide, that's for sure. Okay, high density alloys have advanced. Armor piercing capped can now be researched. Alright. Yeah, we'll want to do that soon. Not really necessary for fighting or even useful for fighting these Japanese, or Chinese units, sorry. Okay, now that they should have gotten here, down here, put up some air intercept the region, and I think it's this one. Yes, there we go. Reasonable coverage between the three units. That unit, and the one down Yunnan. I know I keep saying because there's Yunnan, and this is oh no, it starts with an H. It's Hunan or something like that. Is this island? Oh boy. Yes, to my ears they all sound similar. I don't know what the Chinese make of our naming things, whether they sound similar or not. You go there, you come into here. Okay. You join that fight. That is it mountainous? No, it's plains. So why are you joining that fight? You come to there. You guys can go here, and you guys can go there. And you guys can go there. They're all like made for beating up units on the plains. And army HQs. Yeah, 42, that's a definite stop. Okay, so now we have a little extra. Let's go back to... Yeah. I mean, piercing doesn't help much because I don't, like I said, they don't have any. It's not even heart attack. I think probably our infantry pierces whatever. I don't know, armored cars or something they may have in any of these places. Piercing, if you don't know, and I figure most of you are experts, so I don't talk too much about this, but piercing value is, what is it called? Armor value. Something simple. Okay. Here, this will do. Armor is 12. Piercing attack is 14. So long as you're piercing, you know, if the enemy's armor value, because your armor value only affects the enemy's piercing attack. If your piercing attack is more than their armor, you get full effect from your heart attack. It can be just 1/10 of a point or something over it. It doesn't, if it's a whole lot more, it doesn't help you. Heart attack is how much it I still don't get exactly how much it affects hardened units like this versus how much it affects soft units. And some units are softer, they're more hard, or I don't know how it all works out in that part between soft and hard. Soft is basically infantry and, you know, unarmored vehicles and artillery. Hard is armored units. But so all you got to do is be slightly over their thing. So having, you know, if it's twice as much, doesn't matter. Now, if you have twice as much heart attack, that just kills them that much faster. So that is a good thing. More heart attack is a good thing over other units. Well, let's support that tank, because I think these guys are going to go away once we sort of get major victory. Where do we have? Okay, as soon as they can occupy that, let's support this attack. Yeah, they're exhausted. They get to rest. I think this is their capital now. Letting this episode go a bit longer because I talked so much beforehand. I didn't mean to talk that long. I really don't mean to. And I don't mind you guys pointing out because this, and at times, because I need your feedback. I'm not going to change my general idea of talking, though, of course, and I do know, of course, we've got submarine crew berthing here, which I think is grayed out. So, and I do know it is best if I can talk and play at the same time. Keep it flowing, because talking is good, I think, as opposed to just me being silent on this while playing. But your feedback is very welcome. And like I say, I'm not going to change to not talking, or only just narrating what I'm doing or something, you know, on the screen at the time. Is that I think it is enjoyed, but there is very much, shall we say, balance issues. Sometimes if I know I'm going to be going on for a long time, I will try to give you a warning if I'm sort of getting that mood, know that I'm going to talk, and I'll just give you like, now until either the screen changes or the end of the episode, I'm just going to talk. And if I do that, I don't feel bad about it because I've given you the warning. And you know you can skip it if you so desire. We'll send up the militia. You guys go there. And yes, as a few of you pointed out, the trains will do the better attack. If we keep all this, we will be playing whack-a-mole. And I've been advised to... I think a Marine HQ should be able to take that partisan. Down. But let's... I'm looking for... Actually, maybe those guys. By the time they get down there, they'll be better organized. To set up an anti-partisan... You know, put not garrison units that I want to hold down particular spots, but military police units to run around and deal with the partisans. How do I put this? That's definitely a good idea. My concern is I've watched them. Oh yeah, the AI go, oh yeah, we've got an outbreak here. Okay, let's get a unit here, get a unit here, get a unit here, get a unit here, and then we'll attack. Now, of course, they're deciding, oh, the units that, well, we got some excess units fighting in Burma. We'll ship them all the way over here. So that's sort of the horror of it, is that they move them from really good things. And a lot of these partisan units really don't need, you know, you can see weak police units just almost immediately killing them, unless you're fighting, unless they're in the mountains and you're crossing a river and, you know, going to grandmother's house, and it's all a big problem. Unless it's that, it's normally not that big of a thing. Now, I guess I could theoretically go back and watch my last playthroughs. What I decided was a good idea here. But I do remember we did do some more carriers, and what I want to look now here is to see, is there anything in carriers that I would, and I'm of course seeing right now that basically everything that is not upgradable, which are basically these three things, and these may also not be upgradable either, but that's a 40 technology, but we don't have the allow early whatever, so we have to get much more on that. So yeah, so we can build more carriers. I just didn't want to start building a carrier now that, had I waited 2 months to start, it would have some significant improvements over it. So no, we're gonna build two. So maybe this is even more than I did last time. I think this is more, but I'm gonna go with it. There we go, turn that around. So yes, this is their capital, and we're going to be occupying it soon, I think. So it looks like we've won there. And it's just sort of marching time. Okay, HQ brigades. Or brigade HQs, I should say. Well, let's look here. Let's improve these guys. Okay, reinforce conquer on Baoji click. Okay, good. Of course, by doing so, and starting out instead of doing it in released, we have our a fair amount of troops left here. I don't even know. Well, let's move some of these guys over this way. The British give them money for crude oil. Okay. We build up our money enough. I think it's... Oh, and as I said in posting, I think this decision of Republic of China Nanjing will stay around for a considerable time. I don't know if there's any particular cause for it to disappear, other than we take it and it's no longer useful or no longer a thing. But and then come back here once you've got that. So if we go down this road that I'm planning and there is a tangible reason not to, we can stop. We can form the collaborationist government if we want to. Okay, I'm going to stop this. Oh, no. Cancel. We're stopping the attack. And we've won that. We're going to wait till we not have to attack across the river. Yep, you're counterattacking. Good. Ground attack tactics. Sounds very repetitive. We lost a little leadership, I could tell, from once we no longer had this as controlling here. Okay, assault concentration has advanced, and that is a very good one. And we're going to stop that and immediately move to superior firepower, because I want that extra brigade. And now that we're here, we're going to start in on these guys. Okay, well, we are thinking about going after the Jiang. Okay, so where's its capital? Okay, there it is, right there. So we got to get through some mountains, but mostly desert. Not sure exactly which ones will be there. So okay, well, that's useful to know, because what we're going to do is we start moving in this direction. Some of these motorized units, which not that they do super special or something in the desert, they're not like, you know, desert optimized or anything like that, but they are not hindered by the desert more than anybody. You know, they're not like mountains hinder motorized units pretty badly. I guess would be just sort of simply stating it. But since we do face a few mountains, so we'll this is called being prepared for the next campaign, and not just winging it with what's in the region. Once they get done, they can head up that way, maybe. Now these guys are going down to deal with these partisans, because I was thinking in a different direction at the time. Okay. Defense report. Yes, okay. Minor breakthrough in something. Wondering if we'll get that option of declaring war. So I think the option to declare war against Tibet was based on forming China, was it? So we have the concurrent borders right now. Maybe we won't have that option. I think we could maybe still declare war anyways, but we can always do it the old-fashioned way. So I think we can just go like, this isn't Hearts of Iron. Oh, we can't declare war. You can't declare war because our neutrality is higher than our present threat. Currently that, and effective threat between us and Xiang. Neutrality is okay. So well. I could always edit something. These units have worked out remarkably well for training up other generals. Almost level 5, skill 5, and they got all kinds of stuff. And now our armor gets to go in it. Well, now that you're down here, take them out. Mobile unit command and control, very good. Move that to recon. And mountain HQs have advanced, very good. Yeah, we'll go with that. And we have study for level 8. HQ's done. And we'll take the HQs. Okay, well I think we'll end the episode here. I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. I really do appreciate that. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and I love hearing from you, so you can tell me why I'm wrong to do some of this stuff, because I can still change things a bit. Don't know if I can, if we form, well, don't know. It may still be puppets, but, and actually, no, as I'm thinking about this here, if you're looking for puppet masters, when you reorganize, yeah, doing this, because if you don't, I don't know if you want to do the communist China or these guys, of course, you could have, you know, as well. But if you do the China, you know, go through the decision and give the different territories to reorganize China, that would be one big puppet. But by doing this and adding war goal puppet, you'll end up with more puppets than just having reorganized nationalist China. So I just thought that would be a good thing. Let's save this. Make sure it's all saved good, and we will continue from here on forward. Okay, again, love to hear your comments. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.